So what do you think of Ungoro as a set overall?
I think Ungoro is a really fun set. It has a lot of new mechanics that kind of threw a lot of stuff and hope some of it stuck. Quests are, on average, kind of underwhelming. I think it'd be interesting if they like buffed some of them, but a few of them are really playable. There are a few new archetypes. Everything kind of feels fresh and new, and that's what I expect out of a new set.
I think the set's great. It's brought a lot of new changes. A lot of new decks are coming up. I think right now there's something like 10 to 20 viable decks, so really cool.
We're kind of in that romance period where like everyone's just really happy playing Hearthstone right now. It's not really a grind. You have a lot of fun. And like this event in particular was awesome because you're playing against people and you see that Paladin and you're like, that could be 4 different decks. It's not like a year ago's meta where it's like, well, that's Secret Paladin. So it's really fun. Like people are still innovating. There was a new deck that came out. Like there's the Spirit Echo Control Shaman here that I didn't know about until I got here. Everyone's like, oh yeah, this is really good. And I'm like, really? And that's cool. Like people are innovating still.
I think it's great. I think a lot of players are coming back to the game, and it's a new experience, and a lot of the cards that have come in have created new concepts, but as well as cards that have rotated out. Like a lot of the Shaman cards that have rotated out have allowed people to kind of, enjoy the game a lot more.
I really like Ungoro. Like the meta game has been fantastic, probably like the best since Naxxramas, and the tournament meta is also like okay, but there's so many decks viable right now that it's very hard to like construct a steady lineup that just beats everybody. So like nobody kind of broke the meta, which is good in a way for the system, but it's kind of bad for you as a player because there's no way to like abuse it and make a lineup that beats the normal lineup.
It's been fun to play with. From a deck building perspective, I like things like the Elemental package because that's kind of like a neutral package of cards that you can fit into a lot of different archetypes, so that's fun to mess around with. Murloc's kind of similar. You can play that in a few different archetypes, different classes. There are some of the linear decks that kind of build themselves, like Quest Priest and stuff like that, so I'm kind of glad that those are weaker because, like, as a deck builder, everyone's list is going to look pretty similar if that deck were good and common. But yeah, it's been fun to deck build. There's a lot of interesting cards like Hemet to mess around with too. I've liked playing with the meta a lot so far. Expansion's been cool, but I think even more important than the cards coming in was the fact that so many cards rotated out. I think Tunnel Trog and Totem Golem, since Blizzard nerfed the wrong card on Shaman, that package kind of defined the metagame for like a year and a half. And it's just that being gone opened the door for like 10 new archetypes. So
everything's pretty exciting. The new mechanics out, quests. So, they did a lot of discover cards also, but there's like kind of this new exciting feature, which is quests, and you gotta go on a mission to complete it, which is cool.
Yeah, I think out of all the sets that have been released so far, it's probably one of the top 2 sets, this set and maybe Leave Explorers. And this set, everyone thought it was great from the get-go. Everyone still thinks it's great about a few weeks in. Leave Explorers is kind of a sleeper set, and everyone realized it was such a great set after. So I think this set might be just overall the best set so far. But you know what? Let's wait a few more months, and the jury will be out by then.
Do you think Hearthstone is getting too expensive as a game now that there's not going to be adventures this year?
Yeah, it is a rather steep cost to be as a player that has no cards at all, to kind of come into the game now and have a competitive set of cards is a little daunting. I would definitely like to see some type of bundle or something for new players to kind of have the ability to come into the game as a new player and just be able to compete with other pros.
There's a few decks out there which are very inexpensive right now. So namely, I'm actually bringing one of those decks to this tournament. It only has 2 epics in it, and it's mid-range Hunter, and it's currently doing very well for me in the tournament. That's probably the deck that I'll do, but there's also a few other choices on top of that. Other than that, though, the rotation does help a little bit with the cost of the expense because you no longer have to buy sets from over a year ago. At the same time, there's more expansions. So yes, it's more expensive. I'm kind of on the fence on this one.
Yes and no. I mean, more content is always good. You complain about stale meta or something like that, and that's fixed with more content, right? So does it really matter that it's getting more expensive? To a degree, yes and no.
So I was free to play until like 2 months ago when I spent $60 on my Asia account just to get it. I spent $60, I made Aggro Shaman, and I finished rank 10 Legend that month. So if you want to think about the comparison of like investment, $60 is about how much you would spend for like a new game that you really want to play, right? And on NA, I've never spent any money, and I've obviously become one of the best competitive players in the world even so. So I think that I played a lot, especially when I was younger, so I got it on the ground floor, but like I've been buying every expansion just with gold, and I have all the cards, right? Like if you want to play the game, you don't need all the cards. I could probably go through my collection and kill like 60% of the cards, you'd say. So if you want to be like a top competitive player, you don't need that much money. I'd say like a springboard to get you into the game is something, but don't you have to pay money for a game you want to play anyway?
I mean, I'm not the best person to give input on this because, you know, every single expansion I buy like over 1,000 packs and then spend the next 3 months complaining about what a terrible game it is and then give them money again just to get golden cards. I think it is pretty pricey. I think, you know, players shouldn't have to, you know, pay hundreds of dollars to the point just to like consistently play standard. It feels a lot like the cost of Magic at this point to play competitively, which is just too high, honestly. So I think I like that Blizzard's doing away with adventures, and I like that it's big expansions now, but I think that they should have integrated the adventure mechanic into Un'Goro, for example. Like if you could do like an adventure as part of the expansion coming out where you play some quests with Elise and you're like, you know, in the scouts or whatever, and you know, you kill some dinosaurs and you play like an adventure, and then on top of that you unlock like really impactful cards that cost a lot of dust to create, maybe like Primordial Dragon or things like that. I think that would have been a great way to do it. And then on top of that, you're still opening packs, you're still getting all the cards.
It's getting like a bit more expensive than I think it should be, but I'm no marketing expert, so the people at Blizzard probably know like why they priced it like this. People like are willing to pay, so why not make it like this? For pro players, I am happy that we have expansions and we don't have adventures because that's more cards. That means like more viable decks. So as long as the expansions don't have filler cards, I'm happy with this. But not if it discourages casual players from playing. I think like they're still working on some things that they can do to like incentivize new players to play the game. But I really hope they're not gonna scare away the people.
I think there could be a few more kind of, not necessarily freebies, but just incentives to play and get extra stuff. But in general, I mean, I just bought the whole set when it came out, and obviously most people don't do that, but I come from traditional card games, and to me, it's pretty cheap compared to that, so I'm fine with it.
I think overall, everyone at the beginning thought quests would be integral to every deck, and basically right now, only 2 of the quests are really like that viable. Everyone thought that you had to craft all 9 quests for each class, whereas right now, you just basically need 2, and then you maybe craft a few legendaries in addition to that, and you're fine. It's not that bad as people thought originally.
Cool. Well, thanks very much, guys.
Thank you a lot.